Hello students, my name is Ambalika Difosa and I will be taking your history class for class 10. Now let's continue talking about the various causes of the First World War in details. Firstly, the concept of nationalism. So this concept of nationalism or national sentiment, which became very popular during the French Revolution, inspired the people of Europe. For example, what happened is that during the year 1859 to 70, the German people were all scattered and divided in various smaller regions, smaller states actually. But then, because of the rise of nationalism, these German speaking places, they all got united into one big nation, that is Germany. And in the same manner, the Italians too, who were divided and scattered in all these smaller states, they got unified into Italy. In the year 1870 to be specific. At the same time, the development of capitalism also inspired the suppressed countries to become independent, into becoming nation states basically. Why is this Balkan Peninsula so important? So let me repeat it again, why Balkan Peninsula is so important. So this Balkan Peninsula was comprised of smaller countries, and the smaller countries were Bulgaria, Thrace, Macedonia, Greece, Albania, etc. These smaller countries, and there were many nationalities in these smaller countries, like different nationalities like Bulgarians, Albanians, and then Macedonians, etc. Now, after the fall of the Ottoman Empire, these smaller countries like Bulgaria and Thrace, they wanted to assert their independence, but the European great powers did not like the idea, like I said before, and because they wanted to establish the supremacy in this Balkan Peninsula, because getting the supremacy in the Balkan Peninsula means the entire Mediterranean Sea would be under your control, under your domination. And since the Balkan Peninsula was of strategic commercial importance, it became a bone of contention among the various countries of Europe. Now this rising nationalist movement in this Balkan Peninsula was highly supported by Russia on the other hand, and Russia was also a very powerful country. It was an emerging imperial power at that time. Now, this support by Russia, on the other hand, was not liked by England, and thus England became very alert and cautious of Russia. Now, what happened in 1829 is that Greece declared its independence. 1829. So Greece was also a part of Balkan Peninsula, and Greece declared its independence in 1829, and it led to a series of events in the Balkan Peninsula. So let's see what actually happened in the Balkan Peninsula. So in 1875, the people of Bosnia and Herzegovina, they organized a resistance movement against the Turkish rule, and this resistance movement was supported by obviously Russia and also the other Balkan countries. Now these combined forces became so powerful, they were able to defeat the Turkish power. They were able to defeat Turkey, and ultimately the Treaty of Saint Stefano was signed in the year 1878. So what happened after the signing of the Treaty of Saint Stefano is that Russia increased its power in the Balkan Peninsula, obviously because Russia supported this resistance movement, and so they increased their power in the Balkan Peninsula. And what happened is that England and the other European countries became jealous of it. What did they do is that they demanded for revision of the terms of the Treaty of Saint Stefano. So they demanded for a revision of the terms of the treaty, and this demand was particularly led by England. And so Congress of Berlin was held, because Russia obviously had to give in to the demands of the other European nations. They had no other choice, they had no other option, they had to give in. And so the Congress of Berlin was held in the year 1878, and it was held under the chairmanship of Bismarck. So the terms of the treaty were revised, but then the new terms could not satisfy the people of the Balkan Peninsula at all. So the Berlin Congress was not successful in bringing peace to the troubled Balkan Peninsula. It was a failure. But there was one country which gained a lot from this new revised treaty. After the Congress of Berlin, it was Germany. The friendly relations between Germany and Turkey developed a lot after this Congress. A Berlin settlement was signed between Germany and Turkey, through this settlement they got the permission to lay the foundation for Berlin Baghdad Railway in the year 1899, which ran from Constantinople to the Persian Gulf. Now this project, it created a lot of tension between England and France. England and France were allies. England and France on one hand and Germany on the other. So this expansionist policy of Germany, along with the nationalist movement in Serbia, it already complicated the matters in the Balkan Peninsula and led to the outbreak of the First World War. It was one major cause. Now, apart from the political tension in the Balkan Peninsula, there were other causes too which accelerated the pace of the First World War. Now, the nationalist ideology had influenced many other nations. For example, when the Treaty of Saint Stefano was signed, the people of England wanted England to declare a war on Russia. France and Germany had never been on good terms since 1870 to 71, after Germany had forcefully occupied the two important regions of France, that is Alsace and Lorraine. So France was actually waiting for an opportunity to reoccupy its two strategic places. Now, besides this nationalism, imperialism also gave rise to fierce competition among the nations of Europe. So there, be it big or small nation, there was a competition between the nations of Europe. So this in turn created political instability, which led to a mad competition, mad race for military and defense preparedness. So each country began to prepare their own military, began to prepare their own defense, because they were all they knew that a world war was going to erupt at any time. So this mad race for military preparedness was another factor which led to the outbreak of the First World War. Now, before the outbreak of the First World War, what happened in Europe was that there was a new trend. Then the new trend was the formation of the secret alliances. The secret alliances were formed among various nations in Europe. For example, Bismarck, he created the Three Emperors League, which comprised of the three emperors of Austria, Germany and Russia. And in the like manner, many other alliances were formed, like Triple Alliance, the Triple Entente. Now, Triple Alliance comprised of three countries, Germany, Austria and Italy, and Triple Entente comprised of France, England and Russia. So we could see that there was this new trend of forming secret alliances, and we could see that the whole of Europe was already divided into two opposing groups, into two opposing war camps actually. They were just waiting for the outbreak of the First World War. Now, moving on to the immediate cause. Now, in the midst of this nationalist movement going on in Serbia, the Austrian prince named Francis Ferdinand, he paid a visit to the Bosnian capital, Sarajevo, on 28 June 1914. On 28 June 1914, the year, he paid a visit to that place. And so what happened is that, unfortunately, he got assassinated by a Serbian revolutionary youth named Gavrilo Princip. He was killed there. And now this incident shook the entire continent of Europe. And Austria, what did they do? They sent an ultimatum to Serbia. They sent an ultimatum to Serbia, but then the reply given by Serbia was not satisfactory for Austria. They were not satisfied by Serbia's reply actually. And so what happened is that on 28 July, just like 1 month after their prince got assassinated, they declared war on Serbia on 28 July 1914, and the very next day itself Belgrade was bombarded. And so in this way, after the assassination of the Austrian prince Francis Ferdinand, the First World War finally began in the year 1914 to 1918. So these are in details the various causes of the First World War. In the next lesson, we're going to talk about the war situation in the year 1914 to 1918, and we are also going to discuss about the results of the First World War. Thank you for watching.